Hello and good afternoon, guys, gals, and non binary pals. We welcome you from Croakspeare Theatre Company to our performance of Love's Labour's Lost. As Nicholas said in the chat, all acts from Scene 1, Act 1 will take place in the same place, and we will be having two intervals during this production, one between Acts 2 and 3 for 15 minutes, and one between Acts 4 and 5 for 5 minutes. We open on Act 1, Scene 1, the King of Navarre's Park. Enter Ferdinand, King of Navarre, Byron, Longueville, and Dumas.
Let fame that all hunt after in our lives live registered upon our brazen tombs, and then grace us in the disgrace of death. When, spite of comrade devouring time, the endeavour of the present breath may buy the honour which shall baste his scythe's keen edge and make us heirs of all eternity. Therefore, brave conquerors, for so you are, the war against your own affections and the huge army of the world desires, our last edict shall strongly stand in force. Navarre shall be the wonder of the world. Our court shall be a little academe, still and contemplative in living art. You three, Byron, Dumain, and Longueville, have sworn for 3 years' term to live with me, my fellow scholars, and to keep those statutes that are recorded in this schedule here. Your oaths are passed, and now subscribe your names, that his own hand may strike his honour down that violates the smallest branch herein. If you are armed to do as sworn to do, subscribe to your deep oaths and keep to it.
I am resolved. 'Tis but a 3 years' fast. The mind shall banquet, though the body pine. Fat paunches have lean paint, and dainty bits make rich the ribs, but bankrupt quite the wits.
My loving lord, Domain is mortified. The grosser manner of these world's delights he throws upon the gross world's baser slaves. To wealth, to love, to pomp, I pine and die with all these living in philosophy.
I can but say their protestation over. So much, dear liege, I have already sworn, that is, to live and study here 3 years. But there are other strict observances, as not to see a woman in that term which I hope well is not enrolled there, and 1 day in a week to touch no food, and but one meal on every day beside, the which I hope is not enrolled there, and then to sleep but 3 hours in the night, and not to be seen to wink of all the day, when I was wont to think no harm all night, and make a dark night too of half the day, which I hope well is not enrolled there. Oh, these are barren tasks, too hard to keep, not to see ladies, study fast, not sleep.
Your oath is passed to pass away from these.
Let me say no, my liege, and, if you please, I only swore to study with your grace, and stay here in your court for 3 years' space.
You swore to that, Byron, and to the rest.
By yea and nay, sir, I swore in jest. What is the end of study? Let me know.
Why, that to know with which else we should not know.
Things hidden barred, you mean, from common sense?
Aye, that is studies godlike compence.
Come on, then. I will swear to study so, to know the thing I am forbid to know, as thus to study where I well may dine, when I to feast expressly am forbid, or study where to meet some mistress fine, when mistresses from common sense are hid, or having sworn too hard a keeping oath, study to break it, and not break to my troth. If studies be gained, be thus, and this be so, study knows that which yet it doth not know. Swear to me this, and I will never say no.
The stops that hinder study quite, and train our intellect to vain delight.
Why, all delights are vain, but that most vain which with pain purchased doth inherit pain, as painfully to pore upon a book, to seek the light of truth, while truth the while doth falsely blind the eyesight of his look. Light seeking light doth light of light beguile. So here you find where light in darkness lies. Your light grows dark by losing of your eyes. Study me, how to please the eye indeed by fixing it upon a fairer eye, who dazzling so, that eye shall be his heed, and give him light that it was blinded by. The study is like the light of the heaven's glorious sun, that will not be deep searched with saucy looks. Small have continual plodders ever won, save base authority from others' books. These earthly godfathers of heaven's lights, that give a name to every fixed star, have no more profit of their shining nights than those that walk and wot not what they are. Too much to know is to know naught but fame, and every godfather can give a name.
How well he's read to reason against reading.
Proceeded well to stop all good proceeding.
He weeds the corn and still lets grow the weeding.
The spring is near when green geese are a breeding,
How follows that?
fit in his place and time,
In reason nothing.
something then in rhyme.
Is like an envious seeping frost that bites the firstborn infants of the spring.
Well, say I am. Why should proud summer boast before the birds have any cause to sing? Why should I joy in any abortive birth? At Christmas I no more desire a rose than wish a snow in May's new-fangled mirth. But, like of each thing that in season grows, so you, to study now it is too late. Climb over the house to unlock the little gate.
Well, sit you out. Go home, Byron. Adieu.
No, no, my good lord, I have sworn to stay with you. And though I have for barbarism spoke more than for that angel knowledge you can say, yet confidence I'll keep what I have swore, and bide the penance of each 3 years' day. Give me the paper, let me read the same, and to the strictest decrees I'll write my name.
How well this yielding rescues thee from shame.
He reads,
Item, that no woman shall come within a mile of my court. Hath this been proclaimed?
4 days ago.
Let's see the penalty. On pain of losing her tongue, who devised this penalty?
Marry, that did I.
Sweet lord, and why?
To fright them hence with that dread penalty.
A dangerous law against gentility. Item, if any man be seen to talk with a woman within the term of 3 years, he shall endure such public shame as the rest of the court can possibly devise. This article, my liege, yourself must break. For well you know here comes in embassy the French king's daughter with yourself to speak, a maid of grace and complete majesty, about surrender upon Aquitaine to her decrepit, sick, and bedrid father. Therefore, this article is made in vain, or vainly comes the admired princess hither.
What say you, lords? Why, this was quite forgot.
So study evermore is overshot. While it doth study to have what it would, it doth forget to do the thing it should. And when it hath the thing it hunteth most, 'tis one as towns with fire, so won, so lost.
We must of force dispense with this degree. She must lie here on mere necessity.
Necessity will make us all forsworn 3,000 times within this 3 years' space. For every man with his effects is born, not by might mastered, but by special grace. If I break faith, this word shall speak for me. I am forsworn on mere necessity. So to the laws at large I write my name, and he that breaks them in the least degree stands in a tender of eternal shame. Suggestions are to other as to me, but I believe, although I seem so loath, I am the last that will keep his oath. But is there no quick recreation granted?
Aye, that there is. Our court, you know, is haunted with a refined traveller of Spain, a man in all the world's new fashion planted, that hath a mint of phrases in his brain, one whom the music of his own vain tongue doth ravish like enchanted harmony, a man of compliments, whom right and wrong have chose as umpire of their mutiny, this child of fancy, that Amado hight, for interim in our studies shall relate in high-born words the worth of many a knight, from tawny Spain lost in the world's debate. How you delights, my lords, I know not I, but I protest I love to hear him lie, and I will use him for my minstrelsy.
Amado is a most illustrious wight, a man of fire new words, fashion's own knight.
Costed the swain, and he shall be our sport. And so to study, 3 years is but short.
Hello, sorry for that brief intermission. Stream settings should be alright by now, hopefully. And hopefully we won't have any more issues, but if we do, we may take some more brief intermissions. It's not a Croakspeare play without that kind of, without intermissions like that. So when we last left off, we had Doll just about to enter with the letter and Costard. So we now bring you back to that scene. Enjoy.
Which is the Duke's own person?
This, fellow, what wouldst?
I myself reprehend his own person, for I am his Grace's Tharborough. But I would see his own person in flesh and blood.
This is he.
Signor Arme commends you. There's villainy abroad. This letter will tell you more.
Sir, the contempts thereof are as touching me.
A letter from the magnificent Amado.
How low soever the matter, I hope in God for high words.
A high hope for a low heaven. God grant us patience.
To hear, or forbear laughing?
To hear meekly, sir, and to laugh moderately, or to forbear both.
Well, sir, be it as the style shall give us cause to climb in the merriness.
The matter is to me, sir, as concerning Jacanetta. The manner of it is, I was taken with the manner.
In what manner?
In manner and form following, sir. All those three, I was seen with her in the manor house, sitting with her upon the form, and taken following her into the park, which put together is in manner and form following. Now, sir, for the manner, it is the manner of a man to speak to a woman. For the form, in some form,
For the following, sir.
as it shall follow in my correction, and God defend the right.
Will you hear this letter with attention?
As we would hear an oracle.
Such is the simplicity of man to hearken after the flesh.
Great deputy, the Welkin vicegerent and sole dominator of Navarre, my soul's earth's god and body fostering patron.
Not a word of custard yet.
So it is.
It may be so, but if he say it is so, he is in telling true, but so.
Peace.
Be to me and every man that dares not fight.
No words.
Of other men's secrets, I beseech you.
So it is, besieged with sable-coloured melancholy, I did commend the black oppressing humour to the most wholesome physic of thy health-giving air, and, as I am a gentleman, betook myself to walk, the time when, about the 6th hour, when beasts most graze, birds best peck, and men sit down to that nourishment which is called supper. So much for that, for the time when, now for the ground which I mean I walked upon, it is yclept thy park. Then for the place where I mean I did encounter that obscene and preposterous event that draweth from my snow-white pen the ebon-coloured ink, which here thou viewest, beholdest, surveyest, and seest, but to the place where it standeth north-northeast, and by east, from the west corner of thy curious knotted garden, there did I see that low-spirited swain, that base minnow of thy mirth, that unlettered small-knowing soul,
Me?
that shallow vassal,
Still me?
which, as I remember, high costard,
Oh, me.
sordid and consorted, contrary to thy established proclaimed edict and continent canon, which with, but with this passion I say, wherewith,
With a wench.
with a child of our grandmother Eve, a female, and for thy more sweet understanding, a woman. Him I, as my ever-esteemed duty pricks me on, have sent to thee to receive the meed of punishment. By thy sweet grace, Officer Anthony Dull, a man of good repute, carriage, bearing, and estimation.
Me, and shall you please you, I am Anthony Dole.
Or Shagnetta, so is the weaker vessel called which I apprehended with the foresaid swain. I keep her as a vessel for the law's fury, and shall, at the least of thy sweet notice, bring her to trial. Thine, in all compliments of devoted and heart-burning heat of duty, Don Adriano de Armado.
This is not so well as I looked for, but the best that I have ever heard.
Aye, the best for the worst. But, sirrah, what say you to this?
Sir, I confess the wench.
Did you hear the proclamation?
I do confess much of the hearing it, but little of the marking of it.
It was proclaimed a year's imprisonment to be taken with a wrench.
I was taken with none, sir. I was taken with a damsel.
Well, it was proclaimed damsel.
This was no damsel neither, sir. She was a virgin.
It is so very too, for it was proclaimed virgin.
If it were, I deny her virginity. I was taken with a maid.
This maid will not serve your turn, sir.
This maid will serve my turn, sir.
Sir, I will pronounce your sentence. You shall fast a week with brawn and water.
I had rather pray a month with mutton and porridge.
Don Amado shall be your keeper. My Lord Byron, see him delivered o'er, and go we, lords, to put in practice that which each to us other hath so strongly sworn.
Ferdinand, Longaville, and Dumas exit.
I'll lay my head to any good man's hat. These oaths and laws will prove an idle scorn. Sirrah, come on.
I suffer for the truth, sir. For true it is I was taken with Jaconetta, and Jaconetta is a true girl, and therefore welcome this sour cup of prosperity. Affliction may one day smile again, and till then, sit thee down, sorrow.
Costard and Biron exit, and we come to Act 1, Scene 2, in the same location as the last. Enter Don Adriano de Amardo and Moth.
Boy, what sign it is when a man of great spirit grows melancholy?
A great sign, sir, that he will look sad.
Why, sadness is one and the self-same thing, dear imp.
No, no, oh, sir, no.
How canst thou part sadness and melancholy, my tender juvenal?
By a familiar demonstration of the working, my tough senior.
Why tough senior? Why tough senior?
Why tender juvenile? Why tender juvenile?
I spoke it, tender juvenal, as a congruent epiphyton appertaining to thy young days, which we may nominate tender.
And I, tough senior, as an appurtenant title to your old time, which we may name tough.
Pretty and apt.
How mean you, sir? I pretty and my saying apt, or I apt and my saying pretty?
Pretty because little.
Little pretty because little. Wherefore apt?
And therefore apt because quick.
Speak you this in my praise, master?
My condign praise.
I will praise an eel with the same praise.
What? That an eel is ingenious?
That an eel is quick.
I do say thou art quick in answers. Thou heatest my blood.
I have answered, sir.
I love not to be crossed.
He speaks the mere contrary. Crosses love not him.
I have promised to study 3 years with the Duke.
You may do it in an hour, sir.
Impossible.
How many is one thrice told?
I am ill at reckoning. It fitteth the spirit of a tapster.
You are a gentleman and a gamester, sir.
I confess both. They are both the varnish of a complete man.
Then I am sure you know how much the gross sum of deuce ace amounts to,
It doth amount to one more than two.
which the base vulgar do call 3.
True.
Why, sir, is this such a piece of study? Now here is 3 studied, ere you'll thrice wink, and how easy it is to put years to the word 3, and study 3 years in 2 words, the dancing horse will tell you.
A most fine figure.
To prove you a cipher?
I will hereupon confess I am in love. And as it is base for a soldier to love, so am I in love with a base wench. If drawing my sword against the humour of affection would deliver me from the reprobate thought of it, I would take Desire prisoner and ransom him to any French courtier for a new devised courtesy. I think, scorn to sigh, methinks I should outswear Cupid. Comfort me, dear boy. What great men have been in love?
Hercules, master.
Most sweet Hercules! More authority, dear boy, nay more, and my sweet child, let them be men of good repute and carriage.
Samson, master, he was a man of good carriage, quick carriage, for he carried the town gates on his back like a porter, and he was in love.
Well knit Samson, strong jointed Samson. I do excel thee in my rapier as much as thou didst me in carrying gates. I am in love too. Who was Samson's love, my dear moth?
A woman, master.
Of what complexion?
Of all the 4, or the 3, or the 2, or one of the 4?
Tell me precisely of what complexion.
Of the seawater green, sir.
Is that one of the 4 complexions?
As I have read, sir, and the best of them too.
Green is indeed the colour of lovers, but to have a love of that colour, methinks Samson had small reason for it. He
It
surely
was
affected
much
her
fun.
for her wit.
It was so, sir, for she had a green wit.
My love is most immaculate white and red.
Most immaculate thoughts, master, are masked under such colors.
Define. Define well-educated infant.
Oh, my father's sweet and my mother's tongue. Assist me.
Sweet invocation of a child, most pretty and pathetical.
If she be made of white and red, her faults will ne'er be known. For blushing cheeks by faults are bred, and fierce by pale white shown. Then if she fear or be to blame, by this you shall not know. For still her cheeks possess the same which native should have owe. A dangerous rhyme, master, against the reason of white and red.
Is there not a ballad, boy, of the king and the beggar?
The world was very guilty of such a ballad some 3 ages since, but I think now 'tis not to be found, or, if it were, it will neither serve for the writing nor the tune.
I will have that subject newly writ that I might example my digression for some mighty precedent. Boy, I do love that country girl that I took in the park with the rational hind costard. She deserves well.
To be whipped, and yet have other loved my master.
Sing, boy. My spirit grows heavy in love.
And that's great marvel, lulling a light wench.
I say, sing.
Forward till this company is past.
Dull, Costard, and Jacanetta enter.
Sir, the Duke's pleasure is that you keep Costard safe, and you must suffer him to take no delight nor no penance, but he must fast 3 days a week. For this damsel, I must keep her at the park. She is allowed for the day woman. Fare you well.
I do betray myself with blushing. Maid,
Man,
I will visit thee at the lodge.
that's hereby.
I know where it is situate.
Lord, how wise you are.
I will tell thee wonders.
With that face.
I love thee.
So I heard you say.
So, farewell.
Fair weather after you.
Come, Jacanetta, away!
Jacanetta and Dull leave.
Villain, thou shalt fast for thy offences ere thou be pardoned.
Well, sir, I hope when I do it, I shall do it on a full stomach.
Thou shalt be heavily punished.
I am more bound to you than your fellows, for they are but lightly rewarded.
Take away this villain, shut him up.
Come, you transgressing slave, away!
Let me not be pent up, sir. I will fast, being loose.
No, sir, thou wert fast and loose. Thou shalt to prison.
If ever I do see the merry days of desolation that I have seen, some shall see.
What shall some see?
Nay, nothing, Master Moth, but what they look upon. It is not for prisoners to be too silent in their words, and therefore I will say nothing. I thank God I have as little patience as another man, and therefore I can be quiet.
Moth and Costard leave.
Ah, I do affect the very ground which is base, where her shoe, which is baser, guided by her foot, which is basest, doth tread. I shall be forsworn, which is a great argument of falsehood if I love. And how can that be true love which is falsely attempted? Love is a familiar. Love is a devil. There is no evil angel but love. Yet Samson was tempted, and he had an excellent strength. Yet was Solomon so seduced, and he had a very good wit. Cupid's butt shaft is too hard for Hercules' club, and therefore too much at odds for a Spaniard's rapier. The first and second cause will not serve my term. The passado he respects it not, the duello he regards not. His disgrace is to be called boy, but his glory is to subdue men. Adieu, valour, rust, rapier, be still, drum, for your manager is in love. Yea, he loveth. Assist me, some extemporal god of rhyme, for I am sure I shall turn sonnet, devise wit, write pen, for I am for whole volumes in folio.
He exits, and we come to Act 2, Scene 1, in the same location as before. Enter the Princess of France, Rosaline, Maria, Catherine, Boyer, lords, and the other attendants.
Now, madame, summon up your dearest spirits. Consider who's the king your father sends, to whom he sends, and what is embassy. Yourself, how precious in the world's esteem to parley with the sole inheritor of all perfections that a man may owe, matchless Nevers. The plea of no less weight than Aquitaine, a dowry for a queen. Be now as prodigal of all dear grace as nature was in making graces dear, when she did starve the general world beside, and prodigally gave them all to you.
Good Lord Baye, my beauty, though but mean, need not the painted flourish of your praise. Beauty is bought by judgment of the eye, not uttered by base sale of chapmen's tongues. I am less proud to hear you tell my word, and you much willing to be counted wise. Spending your wit in the praise of mine, but now just hast a tasker, good boy, eh? Are not ignorant, while telling fame thou knows abroad. There hath made a vow, till painful study shall wear 3 years. A woman may approach his silent court, for to sim it the needful course, before we enter his forbidden gates, to know his pleasure, in that behalf bold of your worthiness. Single you has our best proving fair solicitor. Tell him, the daughter of the King of France, on serious business, giving quick dispatch, importunes personal comfort with disgrace, haste signifies so much, we attend like humble visit suitors his high will.
Proud of employment, willingly I go.
Pride is willing pride, and yours is so.
Boyer exits.
You are the votaries, my loving lords, of thou fellows with this virtuous duke.
Lord Longueville is one.
Know you the man?
I know him, madame, at the marriage feast between Lord Perigot and the beauteous heir of Jack Falconbridge, solemnized in Normandy. I saw this Longueville, a man of sovereign parts. He is esteemed, well fitted in arts, glorious in arms. Nothing becomes him ill that he would well. The only soil of his fair virtue's gloss, if virtue's gloss will stain with any soil, is sharp wit matched with too blunt a will, whose edge hath power to cut, whose will still wills, it should be none spare that come within his power.
Merry mocking lord, belike, is so?
They say so most that most his humours know.
Short-lived witch do wither as they grow. As it is.
The young Dumaine, a well-accomplished youth, of all that virtue love for virtue loved, most power to do most harm, least knowing ill. For he hath wit to make an ill shape good, and shape to win grace, though he had no wit. I saw him at the Duke Alençon's once. And much too little of that good I saw, is my report to his great worthiness.
Another of the students at that time was there with him, if I have heard the truth. Byron they call him, but a merry man within the limit of becoming mirth I've never spent an hour's talk withal. His eye begets occasion for his wit, for every object that the one doth catch, the other turns to a moving jest, which his fair tongue, conceits expositor, delivers in such apt and gracious words that aged ears play truant at his tales, and younger hearings are quite ravished, so sweet and voluble is discourse.
Bless my ladies, they all in love that every one her own hath garnished with such bedecking ornaments of praise?
Here comes Boyart.
Aye.
Boyer re-enters.
Now, what admittance, lord?
Neville had notice of your fair approach. He and his competitors in us were all addressed to meet you, gentle lady. Before I came, Mary, thus much I have learnt. He that rather means to lodge you in the field, like one that comes here to besiege his court, than seek a dispensation for his oath to let you enter his unpeopled house. Here comes Navarre.
Enter Ferdinand, Longueville, Dumas, Biron, and the attendants.
Yes. Welcome to the court of Navarre.
Yeah. Give you back again. Welcome, I have not yet. The roof of this court is too high to be yours. Welcome to the wide fields too base to be mine.
You shall be welcome, madam, to my court.
I will be welcome then. Cut me thither.
Hear me, dear lady. I have sworn an oath.
Our Lady help my lord. Be forsworn.
Not for the world, fair madam, by my will.
I shall break it. Till then, nothing else.
Your ladyship is ignorant what it is.
My lord, so his ignorant were wise. Now his knowledge was before ignorance. I hear your grace hath sworn at housekeeping. Deadly sin to give that oath, my lord. Sin to break it. Pardon me. I am too sudden bold. Teacher, beseech me. But safe to read the purpose of my coming. Suddenly resolve me in my suit.
Madam, I will, if suddenly I may.
Will sooner that I were away. You will prove perturbed. You make me stay.
Did not I dance with you in Brabant once?
Did I dance with you in Brabant once?
I know you did.
How needless was it then to ask the question?
You must not be so quick.
'Tis long of you that spur me with such questions.
Your wit's too hot. It speeds too fast. 'Twill tire.
Till it leave the rider in the mire.
What time of day?
The hour that fools should ask.
Now fair befall your mask,
Fair fall the face it covers.
and send you many lovers.
Amen, so you be none.
Nay, then will I be gone.
Madam, your father here doth intimate the payment of 100,000 crowns, being but the one half of an entire sum disbursed by my father in his wars. But say that he or we, as neither have, received the sum, yet there remains unpaid 100,000 more, in surety of the which one part of Aquitaine is bound to us, although not valued to the money's worth. If then the king, your father, will restore but that one half which is unsatisfied, we will give up our right in Aquitaine and hold fair friendship with his majesty. But that it seems he little purposeth, for here he doth demand to have repaid 100,000 crowns, and not demands, on payment of 100,000 crowns, to have his title live in Aquitaine, which we much rather had depart withal, and have the money by our fatherland than Aquitaine as so gelded as it is. Dear princess, Were not his requests so far from reasons yielding your fair self should make a yieldings gain some reason in my breast, and go well satisfied to France again?
Did the king my father too much wrong? Wrong the reputation of your name, so unseen to confess receipt, that which had so faithfully been paid.
I do protest I never heard of it. And if you prove it, I'll repay it back, and or yield up Aquitaine.
Give us your word. Yeah? Come with those acquittances for such a sum from special office of child's father?
By me so?
So please your grace, the packet is not come. Where that and other specialties are bound, tomorrow you shall have sight on them.
Shall suffice me. At which interview all liberal reason I will yield unto. Meanwhile, receive such welcome at my hand as honour without breach of honour may make tender of to thy true worthiness. You may not come, fair princess, in my gates, but here without you shall be so received as you shall deem yourself lodged in my heart, though so denied fair harbour in my house, your own good thoughts excuse me, and farewell. Tomorrow shall we visit you again.
Tell that their desires consort your case.
Thy own wish I thee in every place.
Ferdinand leaves.
Lady, I will commend you to mine own heart.
Pray you, do my commendation. I would be glad to see it.
I would you heard it groan.
Is the fool sick?
Sick at the heart.
Lack, let it blood.
Would that do it good?
My physic says A.
Will you prick it with your eye?
No point. With my knife.
Now God save thy life.
And yours from long living.
I cannot stay Thanksgiving.
They retire.
Sir, I pray you a word. What lady is that same?
The heir of Alencon? Catherine, your name.
A gallant lady. Monsieur, fare you well.
He exits.
I beseech you, a word. What is she in the white?
A woman sometimes, and you saw her in the light.
Perchance light in the light. I desire her name.
She asked but one for herself, to desire that were a shame.
Pray you, sir, whose daughter?
Her mother's, I have heard.
God's blessings on your beard!
Good sir, be not offended. She is the heir of Falcon Bridge.
Nay, my choler is ended. She is a most sweet lady.
Not unlike sir, that may be.
Longaville exits.
What's her name? In the cap.
Rosaline by Godap.
Is she wedded or no?
To her will, sir, or so.
You are welcome, sir. Adieu.
Farewell to me, sir, and welcome to you.
Byron exits.
That last is Byron, the merry madcap lord. Not a word with him, but a jest.
There is just but a word.
It was well done of you to take him at his word.
I was willing to grapples as he was to board.
2 hot sheeps, Mary.
And wherefore not sheeps, sweet lamb, unless we feed on your lips.
You sheep, and I pasture. Shall that finish the jest?
So you grant pasture for me.
He offers to kiss her.
Not so, gentle beast. My lips are no common, though several they be.
Belonging to whom?
To my fortunes and me.
But wits will be jangling, but gentles agree. Civil War wits were much better used on that air as bookmen, for here it's abused.
If my observation, which very seldom lies, by the arts the rhetoric disclose with eyes, deceive me not now. Navarre is infected.
What?
With that which lovers entitle affected.
Your reason?
Why, all his behaviors did make their attire, to the court of his eye peeping thorough desire, his art like an agate with your pint and breast, proud with his form, in his eyes pride expressed. His tongue all impatient to speak and not see, did stumble with haste in his eyesight to be. All senses to that sense did make their repair, to feel only looking on fairest affair. Methinks all his senses were locked in his eye, as jewels and crystals for some prince to buy, who tendering their own wealth from where they were glassed, did point you to buy them along as you passed. His face so margent did quote such amazes, that all his eyes were enchanted with gazes. I give you Aquitaine and all of that is his, and you give him for my sake but one loving kiss.
To our pavilion. Here is disposed.
But you speak that in words which is I asked disclosed. I only have made a mouth of his eye, by adding a tongue which I know not lie.
Thou art an old love-monger and speakest skillfully.
He is Cupid's grandfather, and learns news of him.
Then was Venus like her mother, for her father is but grim.
Do you hear, my mad wenches?
No.
What then do you see?
Our way to be gone.
Ugh, you are too odd for me.
They leave, and we come to Act 3, Scene 1, in the same location as before. Enter Don Adriano de Amardo and Moth.
Warble, child, make passionate my sense of hearing.
Conclino. There's a song here.
Sweet air, go, tenderness of years, take this key. Give enlargement to the swain, bring him festinantly hither. I must employ him in a letter to my love.
Master, will you win your love with a French brawl?
How meanest thou? Brawling in French?
No, my complete master, but with a jig of a tune at the tongue's end, canary to it with your feet, humor it with turning up your eyelids, sigh a note and sing a note, sometimes through the throat, as if you swallowed love with singing love, sometimes through the nose, as if you snuffed up love by smelling love, with your hat penthouse like o'er the shop of your eyes, with your arms crossed and your thin belly doubled like a rabbit in a spit, or your hands in your pocket like a man of the old painting, and keep not too long in one tune, but a snip and away. These are compliments, these are humors, these betray nice wenches, that will be betrayed without these, and make them men of note. Do you note me? That most are affected with these.
How hast thou purchased this experience?
By my penny of observation.
But oh, but oh.
The hobby horse is forgot.
Callest thou my love hobby horse?
No, master, the hobby horse is but a colt, and your love perhaps a hackney. But have you forgot your love?
Almost I had.
Negligent student, learn her by heart.
By heart and in heart, boy.
And out of heart, master. All those three I will prove.
What wilt thou prove?
A man, if I live. And this by, in, and without, upon the instant. By heart you love her, because your heart cannot come by her. In heart you love her, because your heart is in love with her. And out of heart you love her, being out of heart that you cannot enjoy her.
I am all these free.
And three times as much more, and yet nothing at all.
Fetch hither the swain. He must carry me a letter.
A message well sympathized, a horse to the ambassador for an ass.
Huh, what sayest thou?
Marry, sir, you must send the ass upon the horse, for he is very slow-gaited. but I go.
The way is but short. Away!
As swift as lead, sir.
The meaning? Pretty ingenious? Is not lead a metal heavy, dull, and slow?
Minim, honest master, or rather, master, no.
I say lead is slow.
You are too swift, sir, to say so. Is that lead slow which is fired from a gun?
Sweet smoke of rhetoric. He reputes me a cannon, and the bullet, that's he. I shoot thee at the swain.
Thump then, and I flee.
Moth exits.
A most acute juvenile, voluble and free of grace. By thy favour, sweet welkin, I must give sigh in thy face. Most rude melancholy, valour gives thee place. My herald is't returned.
Moth re-enters with Costard.
I wonder, master. Here's a custard broken in a shin.
Some enigma, some riddle. Come, vile envoy, begin.
No enigma, no riddle, no l'envoy. No salve in the mail, sir. Sir, plantain, a plain plantain. No l'envoy, no l'envoy. No salve, sir, but a plantain.
By virtue, thou enforce of laughter, thy silly fort my spleen, the heaving of my lungs provokes me to ridiculous smiling. Oh, pardon me, my stars, doth the inconsiderate take salve for envoy, and the word envoy for salve?
Do the wise think the mother is l'envoy not a solve?
No, page. It is an epilogue or discourse to make plain, some obscure precedents that have to fall insane. I will example it. The fox, the ape, and the humble bee were still at odds, being but free. There's the moral. Now the envoy.
I will add the l'envoy. Say the moral again.
Fox, the ape, and the humble bee were still at odds, being but free.
Until the goose came out of door and stayed the odds by adding 4. Now will I begin your moral, and do you follow with my l'envoy? The fox, the ape, and the humble bee were still at odds, being but 3.
Until the goose came out of door, staying at odds by adding 4.
Good l'envoy, handing him the goose. Will you decide more?
The boy hath sold him a bargain. A goose that's flat. Sir, your pennyworth is good, and your goose be fat. To sell a bargain well is as cunning as fast and loose. Let me see. Fat l'envoy. Ah, that's a fat goose.
Come hither, come hither. How did this argument begin?
By saying that a custard was broken in a shin, then called you for the l'envoy.
True, and I for a plantain. Thus came your argument in. Then the boy sat fat l'envoy, the goose that you bought, and he ended the market.
But tell me, how was there a costard broken in a shin?
I will tell you sensibly.
Thou hast no feeling of it, moth. I will speak that, l'envoy. I, custard, running out that was safely within, fell over the threshold and broke my shin.
We will talk no more of this matter.
Will there be more matter in the shin?
Sirrah Costard, I will enfranchise thee.
Oh, marry me to one Francis. I smell some l'envoy, some goose in this.
By my sweet soul, I mean setting thee at liberty, in freedoming thy person, thou wert immured, restrained, captivated, bound.
True, true, and now you will be my purgation and let me loose.
I give thee thy liberty, set thee from durance, and in lieu thereof impose on thee nothing but this. Bear this significant to the country maid, Jaquenetta, There is remuneration, for the best ward of mine honour is rewarding my dependents. Moth, follow.
Don Adriamo exits.
Like the sequel, eh? Signor Costard, adieu.
My sweet ounce of man's flesh.
Moth exits.
Now, will I look to this remuneration? Remuneration. Ah, that's the Latin word for 3 farthings. 3 farthings, remuneration. What's the price of this inkle? 1 penny. No, I'll give you a remuneration. Why, it carries it. Remuneration. Why, it is a fairer name than French crown. I will never buy and sell out of this word.
Biron enters.
Oh, my good knave Costard, exceedingly well met.
Pray you, sir, how much carnation ribbon may a man buy for remuneration?
What is a remuneration?
Marry, sir, halfpenny farthing.
Why, then, 3 farthing worth of silk.
I thank your worship, God be with you.
Stay, slave, I must employ thee. As thou wilt win my favour, good my knave, do one thing for me that I shall entreat.
When would you have it done, sir?
This afternoon.
Well, I will do it, sir. Fare you well.
Thou knowest not what it is.
I shall know, sir, when I have done it.
Why, villain, thou must know first.
I will come to your worship tomorrow morning.
It must be done this afternoon. Hark, slave, it is but this. The princess comes to hunt here in the park, and in her train there is a gentle lady. When tongue speaks sweetly, then they name her name, and Rosaline they call her, ask for her, and to her white hand see thou do commend this sealed up counsel. There's thy guerdon. Go!
Biron hands him a shilling.
Garden, oh, sweet Gardon, better than remuneration. 11 pence farthing better. Oh, most sweet Gardon. I will do it, sir, in print. Gardon, remuneration.
Costard exits.
And I, forsooth, in love. I that have been in love's whip, a very beadle to a humorous sigh, a critic, nay, a night watch. Constable, a domineering pedant over the boy, than whom no mortal so significant. This wimpled, whining, purblind, wayward boy, this senior, junior, giant dwarf, Dan Cupid, regent of love's rhymes, lord of folded arms, regent of love's rhymes, lord of folded arms, the anointed sovereign of sighs and groans, liege to all loiterers and malcontents, dread prince of plackets, king of codpieces, sole imperator, and great general of trotting parroters. Oh, my little heart, and I to be corporal of his field, and what wear his colours like a tumbler's hoop. What I love, I sue, I seek a wife, a woman that is like a German clock, still a repairing, ever out of frame, and never going all right, being a watch, but being watched that it may still go right. Nay, to be perjured, which is worst of all, a whitely wanton with a velvet brow, which 2 pitchballs stuck in her face for eyes, ay, and by heaven, one that will do the deed, though Argus were her eunuch and her guard, and I to sign for her, to watch for her, to pray for her. Go to, it is a plague that Cupid will impose for my negligent, of his almighty dreadful little might. Well, I will love, write, sigh, pray, sue, and groan. Some men must love my lady, and some Joan.
And he leaves. And that brings us to the end of Act 3. We're now just about to take our 15-minute break as scheduled earlier. Please feel free to go grab some water, have a snack, go to the toilet, whatever you need to do, and we will be back in 15 minutes. Thank you very much.